I'm not going to waste any time telling this story, but I am going to do the chores, the evening chores. I'm going to feed and water, check on everybody as I'm telling you this story. It's easier for me to move around and tell it rather than to sit down, and I think it's probably easier for you guys to listen to if I'm moving around rather than sitting in front of the camera talking to you. So just bear with me. Please stay for the full story because it's important to me, and it is what is going on right now in my life. So I'm going to come in here and get some, set you guys down. I'm going to get some feed for the girl goats, and I may even feed the boys a little bit. I don't know. I will give them some hay, that's for sure. I usually don't feed the boys twice a day, just the girls, because I go out to the boys in the evening to get Caleb. So I'm able to, you know, see them, make sure they're okay, see that their water's full. Hi, kitty. Hi, how are you? You guys, a lot of you know that I have a son, Greg, and Greg was adopted. A lot of you know that. If you go to my channel page, one of the first videos that you'll see is a video of us talking about the adoption. February 4th was our adoption day, and so that's coming up soon, not too far away. Anyway, I'm going the wrong way already. I'm supposed to be going to the girls. Greg moved out a year ago, November the 29th. He moved out of 2023, and today is December, I think the 18th. I'm not sure. I'll check that out. I'll put it on the screen here. But I think it's Wednesday, and I think it's December the 18th, and he has not been home since he moved out. Hey guys, you got Titus, Maggie, and Dandy. And here comes Eddie. Eddie's coming up. Are you being good? Yeah, good boy, Eddie. Gertie's also out there with him somewhere. Chester's in the kennel over there because of Titus. They got into a fight. That's Gertie. They got into a fight and Titus won't let it go. So here we go. Hopefully they won't keep barking the whole time. Good boy. Okay, get out. Get back. All right, I've got a little busy bone for Tucker. Otherwise, he's gonna. No, wait until I give it to you, buddy. Otherwise, he is gonna be bothering me for attention, and I can't do that right now. I need to tell you this. I need to catch you up on what's been going on. Hey guys, let's dump this and put some in there. Okay, buddy, I'll give it to you. Good boy. All right, I have just a little bit of time to go get some hay for the girls. It doesn't take him long to get done with one of those, especially one that size. So let's go get some hay. Hopefully there's enough time. So I was saying, that bowl. This is his bowl. I take it in every night because I fill it back up. So he hasn't been here in a little over a year. I have gone to see him a few times. He has had some, set that there for me to get on the way in. He's had some hard time adjusting to adult life, and there's been a lot of transitions in his life in this past year. I hope the wind is not too much. There's not a whole lot I can do about it right now. Let me get up here so at least I can talk out of the wind. So like I said, he has had a lot of transitions in his life in the past year, and that has to do with some difficulties he's having problems adjusting. So I gotta set this down. And we spoke about that in a video. When I went to see him, we videoed, and we kind of briefly spoke about that, some difficulties that he was having. But all that aside, he's been gone a year, and for the past, I don't know, 6 weeks or so, we've been working really hard to get him up here. He's been wanting to come back and see everybody. He's wanting to come home. I think he might be a little homesick. I don't know. I mean, it seems like after, I don't know, people are different. I'm homesick in the beginning, and then I get used to my surroundings and I do better. Maybe he's the opposite. Who knows? But for the past 6 weeks, wind, I've been trying to get him out here. A lot of you who watch the channel regularly know that I suffer from panic attacks. Anytime I leave the house driving on my own, very far from the house, especially if it's unfamiliar places or there's a lot of bridges and a lot of traffic, things like that, that will cause a panic attack, which a panic attack in itself might not be harmful. I do wonder about where the phrase scared to death came from. I have some concerns there, but you know, a panic attack in itself might not be harmful to me unless I'm driving. Because my vision is off. Everything's tunnel vision and everything's amplified. Sounds are amplified and things. And so that's not a good thing. If I have someone with me, if I have another mature adult who can drive, that helps. They don't always have to drive, have a license, but I don't think. But a mature adult with me, I can drive. I can take these trips. I don't have any problems. I don't have panic attacks when I've got a backup, when I've got someone who can take the wheel, literally and figuratively. And so we had made plans where Mom would go with me to where he is. He's about an hour and a half from here, maybe 2, depending on who's driving, I guess. But we had plans on Mom going with me. And one of the things that stopped us, we were tentatively planning a week about 6 weeks ago, and then the contractor that I've been using, you guys know that I've been trying to get stuff done inside this house for 3 years now, and we've been working with this guy and this contractor, the second one, for several months now. But in the meantime, he has built a shop over at Dad's house, and he has built a shop for my brother out at his property. So I mean, it's not like he's putting us off. He does have a lot of work elsewhere that he's working on too, but it's not that. He's still in the family. He's still doing work for us. So he decided that on the week that we were gonna think about going in and getting Greg, that he was ready to work inside the house. So he promised that he would have the guys work on Thursday and Friday, since he knows I'm off on Thursday and Fridays, because they did my well work out here. They did some they put my gates up. They did a lot of things, and during that they were able to work all week because it was outside and I didn't have to be home. But this is inside, so I have to be home, and they know that I'm off on Thursdays and Fridays and work the rest of the week. So it was going to be Thursdays and Fridays. So when he was talking about coming out, I was all for it. But he was going to have a crew come in, 2 guys. They were going to come in, and they came in and looked at the work, and it was going to take 5 days, they said. And they were going to come in on a Monday through a Friday, which was not what we had originally talked about before. But that was, several weeks back. But anyway, I thought, 5 days, they'll be done, they'll get out, and that'll be that, and we won't have to worry about it. So I had to cancel with Greg, and keeping in mind that we're having to go around my schedule and Greg's schedule and Mom's schedule, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But we pushed it off because these guys were going to come out. Well, then they didn't come out that week, and we had decided that, let's see, how was it going to work? They were going to come out the next week. So I had to cancel that week with Greg that they were going to be out, and then I canceled the next week with Greg. What? I had to cancel the next week with Greg because they were supposed to come out. Hey, Rocky. This is Caleb. Oh, you're pulling that through the fence, dude. I'm trying to remember exactly how this story went. Timeline on this story. But then Greg and I started talking about him coming for Thanksgiving. That sounded good. Everybody's off on Thanksgiving. Mom was willing to go with me. Hang on. So yeah, Thanksgiving sounded good. Then Greg got a job. Greg needed a job. He really, really, really needed a job. And that job was hiring, but in the interview, find a place to put you guys. In the interview, they said that one of the requirements for getting hired is that he had to work Thanksgiving. So it's a good thing I latched that, huh? Get back, buddy. You got a whole thing in your hay feeder. So I need to slow down just a little bit because I'm losing track of where I am in the story. So Greg couldn't come Thanksgiving. The contractor and I, let me back up just a minute. The guys did come in before Thanksgiving. The two guys came in. I was not happy with their work, and I wasn't happy with the conversation that they had between the two of them while they were there. It was very foul. The language was foul. They would bicker back and forth. It was a father and stepson situation, and the stepson was close to my age. He had to have been. So the father was older, and it was just it made it worse when I found out it was a stepdad situation, because on top of the type of language that they were using, and it was pretty serious talk. On top of that, and on top of them bickering back and forth, I find out that really this stepson maybe ought not be talking to his dad that way. I know it's a stepdad, but it's the one that's married to his mother. It's the one who raised him, and I just felt like it wasn't cool. So they came out, and I didn't like their work at all. Like, I did not like their work. I felt like they were I gotta shut this, hang on just a second. I felt like their work was super sloppy, and they were trying to take shortcuts, and every day they worked, they had to go into town to the hardware store, to Lowe's, to get some more items that they forgot to get on the last load. One day they went 2 times to Lowe's, and they're like on the clock. And it wasn't a job where the contractor gave a quote and then they worked under that. It was a different situation to where we would count the hours at the end and know what the price was. And that was the wrong way to go. So anyway, I did call the contractor, and they didn't finish. They were there like, I think, a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm not for sure about that. It's been a few weeks, but I sent them on their way, and I contacted the contractor and told him I can't deal with them. I can't have them. And so he said, well, I got 2 more guys that I can send over there. He actually had other guys, but he had 2 guys available to send over there. And they were a couple that had worked outside here at the house, so I knew them, and I knew that I could tolerate them. I liked them, so he said he could send them over the first week after Thanksgiving. He said next week, and I'm like, well, next week's Thanksgiving. He said, okay, we'll plan on it the next Thursday after Thanksgiving. And I said, okay. So Greg working, he can't work. He's working Thanksgiving. He can't come Thanksgiving. He can't come the following week because they're coming out. Well, and we need some notice to head out to where he is. He needs notice, and we need notice for work schedule, doctor's appointments, different things like that. So we have to have several days notice. And so Thanksgiving was off the table, and the following week was off the table because these guys were supposed to come out. Well, and he told me, the contractor said, I'll contact you that Monday after Thanksgiving. Well, it went all day, and he didn't contact me. So the next day I texted him, and he's like, they got into something, and they're working, and so it'll be the following week. When he couldn't come Thanksgiving, and they were coming the week following, we had made plans for me to go get him 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, and now that wasn't going to happen. So without having a calendar in front of me, I don't know if they actually made it that second week after Thanksgiving. So what they did is they ended up coming last week. They were here Monday through Friday of last week. They were supposed to finish in that time frame, and they didn't. So one guy said he'll come back Saturday and work Saturday. The other guy had some family plans already scheduled. They don't typically work on weekends, but this guy said he would come back Saturday and work on it. And so we made plans for him to come in the afternoon on Saturday, and he kept calling me, telling me he's got a problem. He's working on a floor, and there's been a water pipe bust, and he's having to fix it. And he said, I'm an hour late. So then he would call me in an hour. And look, I'm sorry, but this plumbing under this house is horrible, and every time I fix a place up ahead of it bursts. So he needed to do that a few times, and then finally the contractor called me and said, this guy's too embarrassed to call you, so I'm calling you. And anyway, he just said, do you want to plan on this evening, or do you want to plan on the next morning? Well, the next morning was Sunday. I said, man, I don't care, just whichever is easiest. And so the worker called me, and we discussed it, and he would rather do it on Sunday morning really early. And so I said, okay. And Sunday morning came. He was supposed to come at 9 o'clock, between 9 and 9:15. And he wasn't there. 9:30, 9:45, 10 o'clock, he wasn't there. So a few minutes after 10, I texted him, no response. And so I called him, no response. No, I did. It's backwards. I called him, and then I texted him, and no response. So then I texted the contractor, and the contractor said, well, he has called in sick, and he was supposed to contact you, and he didn't. So that put, he said I can have 2 guys there Monday morning, and they will finish up. So today is Wednesday. Monday, 2 guys supposed to be at my house 9 o'clock in the morning to finish up. And we had already had plans to pick up Greg because they were supposed to finish Friday. And when they didn't finish Friday, this guy was gonna come Saturday and just finish up, not a whole lot left. And then it was gonna be Sunday. Well, now they're saying Monday. I better step back because the wind's blowing and I don't know if it's too much. So anyway, Monday morning, 2 guys show up. One of the original guys, and then a different guy, not the guy that called in sick. He called in sick Monday too. So they finished on Monday. And I didn't say anything to Greg because just like one full day and they were supposed to be done. And that's not even done with everything in the house. That's not everything I want to do. We're doing this in sections for lots of reasons. So I didn't say anything to Greg. So they got there Monday morning and they were there all day. I think they got done about 3:30, something like that. And then so they were done. So I wasn't going to say, just keep my plans of picking Greg up today, Wednesday. And then I went to work yesterday, and that's when it all fell apart. I work, a lot of you know, I work for family. I work with family. My oldest nephew, we have 2 offices. My oldest nephew is in another city, close, and works in an office. And then my niece and my younger nephew work in the office here and close, and not in the town I live in, but in a town close by. And we are, it's just a family business, and it's very relaxed atmosphere. We were in there, and my niece had come in. She had an appointment that day to go to the doctor because she felt like she had a sinus infection. She gets them a lot. She knows what it feels like. She knows the symptoms and everything. So no big deal. Then my brother shows up with her son, my great nephew, and he's 14 months old, something like that. Irresistible, right? So she had him, and I was playing with him and tickling him until he was ready to come see me. And so she goes off to the doctor's appointment. My brother takes the baby and takes him on, and leaves my nephew and I, my other nephew and I, at the office. And so my niece comes back from the doctor's appointment, and I said, what'd they say? And she said, well, the doctor looked at me and she feels like I probably have a sinus infection. But they also swabbed her for strep throat and tested her for COVID. And they told her that they didn't think she had anything but a sinus infection, so she could wait in the waiting room for the results, or she can leave and then they would just call her. Anyway, hour or two goes by, and she hadn't heard anything from them, but she gets a notification from her pharmacy that she has a prescription to pick up. And she came to me and she's like, that's weird that they would not call me, that they would just send a prescription over, not tell me that it's going over, not tell me that I need to go pick it up. And so I said, you need to call them and see what's going on. You need to ask them about those results. And she's like, well, I don't think anything of it. I think it's a sinus infection. I said, I know, but you're sick. Might not be bad, but you're sick. And I'm supposed to go and pick up Greg tomorrow with Mom in the car. And I don't want to give Mom or Dad anything. They just got over being sick. They don't heal nearly as fast as they used to, and they have some health problems. So, I need to know what's going on. She tried to call the doctor and it went to a voicemail. She called again later, went to a voicemail. And then about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, after we'd been at work all day together, she called them and got through to someone. And they told her that she came back positive for strep throat. So needless to say, that last hour at work was very difficult. I had my drive home and I was like, how am I going to tell Greg the night before? I can't even, that's another thing. He was at work until 11 o'clock. He was working that day. And I couldn't, you guys know, I don't stay up till 11 o'clock. I get up at 4:30 in the morning, sometimes 5, but usually earlier than that. And I would the next morning have to call him and tell him that he can't come. And it was bad enough telling him a week in advance, can't come this week, but the day of, I was like, how am I going to do this? I said, he's going to be extremely disappointed. And and don't tell him this, but I would have been disappointed too. He hasn't been here. I've gone to see him, but he hasn't been here in over a year, and I was looking forward to it. So all the way home, I'm thinking, I called Mom and Dad and told them, and I complained to my nephew about it, just really upset. And so just on the way home, just trying to think of a way around this. But there was no way that I was gonna get in a vehicle with Mom and possibly have strep throat myself and expose her or Dad to it. So anyway, I talked to Mom and Dad and we came up with a little bit of a plan. Mom and Dad had volunteered to go get him, without me, so I won't be around them. And I'm like, well, what if I do have it? This was yesterday. I said, what if I have it and tomorrow I get sick, or Friday I'm sick and can't take him back to where he came from? And so, that put that off of the table for a while, and I thought about it for a while, and then I ended up calling my friend Amy. You guys know Amy. She's been on the channel a couple times. It's Sean's mom, my little buddy that comes out here and helps me work. And so...
Hi, Mom. Oh, hi, guys.
So Amy said that if I am sick Friday, she would take Greg back to where he stays. And so he is here now. Mom and Dad, just as a matter of fact, while I was filming this video, pulled up with him in the vehicle. So Greg, there's a lot has changed since he was here last time. So I am going to go introduce him to a bunch of new animals and show him around. There's a lot of changes. The fence wasn't up. There wasn't a well. There wasn't gutters. There wasn't, the house didn't have flooring in it. There's a lot of things that have changed. So I'm going to go show him around.